Hey, how's it going? In this video I'm going to be talking about tuning, specifically how to use one of these devices, an electronic tuner. You can pick one of these up at just about any music store or guitar store anywhere in the country. They usually run anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks, and they're usually pretty accurate. This particular brand, as you can see, is a Korg, standard issue Korg chromatic tuner. Again, very common, but there's a billion different brands, there's a billion different models, and like I said, the technology today is such that they're all pretty consistent in their accuracy. All tuners that you find now are digital. This technology, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, it's been around since the late 70s, early 80s, but it didn't really come into widespread use until about the mid to late 80s. And the early electronic tuners were analog, so they weren't nearly as accurate. They were extremely expensive, very bulky, and you guys are extremely lucky today that you can pick one of these up anywhere. And not only that, now you got mobile apps that you can download, and most of them are $1 or $2, if not free. And all the ones that I've either had or seen are at least as accurate as these things, and at least as user-friendly as well. So really no excuse to not have one of these things. They even make ones now that clip right onto the headstock of the guitar, and I mean, you know, you don't even have to be able to hear yourself. The tuner doesn't even need to be able to hear you. It picks up the signal straight from the vibration along the neck. So I'm telling you guys, get you a tuner. You need one. They're very handy. However, the trap that many students fall into is they use these things as a crutch rather than a tool. So I'm going to show you today how to get the most use out of your tuner, and how, most importantly, to use it as a tool for training your ear, because there's no substitute for a good ear. Doesn't matter what instrument you play. If you can tell the difference between two pitches by ear, then this thing is just handy to have, but you don't need it. And ultimately, that's the goal, is to be able to be completely self-sufficient. Because what happens if the battery runs out in your tuner? You know, or what happens if it breaks or you don't have it handy? You're in trouble. You can't tune your guitar, and that's not a situation you ever want to be in. So basically, here's my strategy for using a tuner as a tool rather than a crutch. The first thing you have to do is you have to tune your 6th string. If your 6th string isn't in tune, then well, I mean, you know, if you're going to use the guitar to tune itself, then you need to tune your 6th string. If you're using a piano or some other like reference pitches off a CD or off a website, that's different. But we're going to go ahead and use what's known as the relative tuning system, where you use the guitar itself to tune itself. And in order to do that, you got to start out by tuning the 6th string. So the 6th string is way out of tune. Right now, you can't see. Well, let me see if I hold this up here. You can see it says E flat. You see that little E flat right there? It's supposed to say E. So it's actually flat quite a bit. It's almost a half step flat. Actually, it's a little bit, yeah, almost a half step flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up to where, yeah, and you see I went too far. See, it's telling me I'm kind of close to an F, and I'm kind of flat. So I'm going to kind of you know, flat for an F. So I'm technically sharp because I'm supposed to be in E land and I'm in F land. So I'm going to go down a little bit, and now, oh, almost there. Now I'm a little sharp, a little too high, but I'm in E land. So I'm going to go down a little bit, and here's where I need to be. It's saying E in the corner, and the needle is falling pretty much in the middle, telling me that I'm pretty much in tune. Now, you notice that the letter changed and the needle flew around. That's because I'm talking and I'm confusing the tuner. The minute the tuner hears any sound at all, it immediately starts trying to tell you what pitch that sound is closest to. So the air conditioning, somebody's voice, any sound in the environment will confuse the tuner, and it won't know which sound you're trying to tune. It can only tune one sound or one pitch at a time. So now that I got my E string in tune, I'm going to use the 5th fret of the E string to tune the A string. This is what's called the relative tuning method, and I'm going to kind of move over here a little bit so you can see all my frets from the nut up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the 5th fret. If I put my finger on that spot right there, this is what my open A string should sound like, and it doesn't. Most of you, by the way, will have a dot either right here or right here to let you know that that's the 5th fret, so you don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just look for the first dot. Sometimes it's the 2nd dot. Sometimes they have a dot on the 3rd fret. Some guitars even have a dot on the 1st fret for some bizarre reason. I mean, like, you need a mark the 1st fret, really? But no, you should have a dot. Most guitars tend to have dots on the 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, and then there'll be usually 2 dots at the 12th fret. Again, this changes. Some guitars only have dots at the 5th and 7th and 12th. Some of them have all of them. But whatever. This right here is the 5th fret, and if you don't have a dot, just simply count 5. Now again, you can hear that doesn't quite match. Can you tell which way I need to go? Is my A string higher or lower than my 5th fret E string? Go ahead and pause the video and go back and rewind and listen again to make sure you know. Okay, so my A string is lower than my 5th fret E string. So I'm going to go ahead and go up until, oh, almost there, but it's still a little bit low. You can hear that, right? Getting there. Ooh, so close. Getting pretty close, right? Let's see what the tuner says. Hey, tuner says I'm pretty much there. So that one's done. Now that I got my A string in tune, I can use the 5th fret of the A string to tune the D string. And again, is it too high, too sharp, or too low, too flat? Go ahead and pause the video and listen back a few times to make sure. Okay, so it's actually flat. The D string is flat. You hear how it sounds like it's going down. So my D string is flatter than my 5th fret A string. I have to go up. By the way, just so you know, this is a universal truth about all guitar tuning keys. Counterclockwise, I should think about this. You're looking at me. Yeah, counterclockwise is higher. Clockwise is lower. All right. So if you're trying to go higher, you're going to turn the tuning key counterclockwise or away from you. Again, I'm facing you, so it'll be this way. I hope I'm facing you. If this, well, you know, whichever direction it looks like I'm going, just know that counterclockwise higher, clockwise lower. So I'm going counterclockwise. Okay. Now let's just assume I think that's pretty good. Let's listen and see what the tuner says. The tuner says I'm sharp. So what do? Just start tuning my string lower? I mean, it's a good guess, but actually, again, here, this whole video is about using the tuner as a tool, not a crutch. I thought the D string sounded good. The tuner's telling me the D string's actually sharp. So I'm going to go back and listen and see if I can hear what the tuner heard. And yeah, actually, it does sound a little higher. That's not. So close, it's hard to even sing the difference, but it's definitely a little higher. So try that. Okay, that sounds better. Again, I'm going to go back and check it against the tuner, and the tuner's talked. But the tuner again thinks I'm pretty good. Okay, now I'm not going to go through all 6 strings. I'm just hoping that you get the idea by now. My G string, 5th fret, same thing. Now which direction do you think I need to go there? If you guessed down, you're right. The G string is sharp. Now the only string that you don't tune the 5th fret is the B string. The B string is tuned to the 4th fret of the G string. So I put my finger on the 5th fret of every string except the G string. That's the only string you put your put your finger on the 4th fret, and that's also sharp. Again, I'm not using the tuner for all these. I'm just trying to, walk you through it a little bit, get you used to this process. Normally, I would check each string against the tuner, but I'm going to assume that I'm right because I've been doing this for a while, and I usually don't have a hard time tuning by ear. there's all other ways too. Now, one important thing to remember, you're going for pitch, not tone color. You're never going to match tone color. It's just a fact that a fretted string sounds darker or warmer than an open string. I'll give you an example. Here's my fretted 5th fret of the E string, and here's my open A string. They're exactly the same pitch, but you can hear that the open A string sounds kind of twangier or brighter. Of course, these strings are really old, so they're all going to sound kind of dead and thuddy anyway. But usually a fretted string, that's a good example. The D string and G string, you can hear that. The G string's a little brighter sounding, but the pitch is the same. You know, that's the difference between what we call pitch, which is how high or low a sound is, and timbre or tone color, the kind of quality of the sound. Obviously, different instruments have different timbres. The same note on the guitar in different places is going to have different timbres. My voice has a different timbre than your voice. But pitch is something that, you know, I can sing a note, you can sing a note, it'll sound the same note, same pitch, but your voice sounds different than my voice, so it won't exactly sound the same, you know, every way, just in pitch. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. Please use this video as a reference, because tuning is hard. It's something that takes time, and like anything else, you have to practice it. If you don't practice tuning, you don't get better at it. And again, you know, fortunately for you guys out there, these things are so readily available and easy to use. You shouldn't have a hard time getting your guitar in tune, but there's no substitute for being able to do it yourself by ear, and just generally good ears are an important skill to have in music anyway. So please practice your tuning, and I'll see you next time.